Hi, everyone. Do you hear me? Hello. Hello, Shipei. I
You,
can I can
yes,
hear
I
you.
can.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me now?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you, Shipei, for coming to share on the research of digital humanities for us. Shipei was my journey supervisor when I was working at the Max Planck Institute for the History of Science. She was also my senior in the PhD program at the NTU. She has been in Germany for more than 10 years, I think. This experience means that the content she can share must be wonderful. Let us welcome Shipe with a warm sharing.
Thank you, Yunzhen, for your kind introduction. So I will now start by sharing my slides. Okay, and I believe I need to, yes, project it. And just by the way that I cannot see you when I am doing the projection. So if you have any question or something went wrong or something happened, maybe Yunzhen, you just turn off your mic and just talk to me. Okay, so let's start. So my name is Shipei Chen, or Chen Shipei, and I was graduated from National Taiwan University. Hold on, I think can you still see me?
Yes, can
Okay,
see you.
I, I have no idea how to turn that off, but okay, because I think it might be a little bit distracting. Okay, I believe I turned off my camera. It's
Yes,
always
you turn off. You turn off.
okay. Yeah, it's always interesting when using a new software. So Microsoft Teams is, I believe, maybe today is the first time that I use it. Yeah, so hope it will go well. All right, so I'm also a graduate from Taida 自贡系, and but I have been after I graduated in 2011, I went to Harvard University to do my postdoctoral research position there, and very soon after that, I moved to Berlin, Germany. And today, I'm basically going to talk about my experience in the past, like 13 years. Yeah, and so it's entitled Historical Research in the Digital Age. So I just want to mention that I study computer science, and but right now what I'm doing most of the time is what people consider to be historical research, but in the digital age. So this title actually summarizes what I do or my career path after my graduation, being a computer scientist. Okay, so I work at the Max Planck Institute for the History of Science. For people who are not familiar, it's like Academia Sinica in Taiwan. It's like 中研院 in Taiwan. So they have around 80 different institutes, but they don't share one campus. They spread all over the world, mostly in Germany, but also some you can find some of the Max Planck institutes in other parts of Europe and even outside of Europe. And the institute I'm in is called the History of Science. You can think about it as a history department, but they do something that is called History of Science. That is not only about recovering what happened in the scientific development in humans past, but also some very critical issues like the borderline between science and society, and many others. So they are really thinkers. But before we can answer this question, what is historical or broader humanities research before the in the digital age? we have to understand what is historical or humanities research before. And the reason why is that I usually talk to people who study history or who study humanities, but I can assume that like many of you are not. So so we first need to understand, or I need to understand how much you know about historical research before the digital age, before we can move on. And then we can start to ask what has changed in the digital age. So I would like to have a very, very simple online survey. I know that there are not so many people here. So maybe you just need to use the react button to give me a reaction. So my two question is mainly that how many of you are students? If you are a student, you can give me a thumb up. If you are a student, you can use the react button and give me a thumbs up. 给一个赞，if you're a student, okay. Thank you. So that, all right. And then I assume the others are either teaching faculties. Okay, teaching faculties. Yes. So that, yeah, I don't know what are the other possibilities, but yep. Okay. Thank you. And okay, then the next question I have is that, are you studying in the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, medicine? If you are, then please give me a thumbs up or raise your hand. Okay, no. Okay, if you're studying in the STEM, okay, I see one. Thank you, Shen. And how about how many of you are studying in the arts and humanities? If you do see one, then also raise your hand or give me a thumbs up. I think I saw two. If you are studying in the arts and humanities, yeah. Also, I see people are coming. So I'm going to repeat the first option. So if you are studying in the science, technology, engineering, medicine, STEM, so the so-called STEM, please raise your hand again. If you're studying in the STEM, please raise your hand so that I can understand. Okay, yeah, okay, yes, thank you. If you're studying in the arts and the humanities, please now raise your hand. This is only for me to understand how the demographic look like. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and the rest, I suppose there is also social sciences. Anyone in the social sciences? No? Okay, how about education? Anyone
Yes.
studying in the...
Yeah, education is including the social.
Oh, okay. That's how Shida does it. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Okay, thank you very well. Okay, then I will go back to my slides. Okay, so now we can move on. Okay, so this is a slide that I just added in case that some of you are not familiar with historical research before the digital age. So so just to give you a very broad idea, and also that you know that I am myself a computer scientist, and this is only what I learned in the past 10 years by working very closely with historians. But I myself never study in the history. So so this is like just my understanding. But what I realized is that usually when we talk about historical research, we might thought that it is to recover what has happened in the past, but also not to recover everything, because there are so many things happen in the past that take ourselves as an example, that yesterday so many things happened, but not all of them are important. And especially not all of them are important to the society. So here, the most important part is actually at the bottom, or at the very, very last. That historians, I think they are trying to recover what happened that was important to the world we are in now. So something happened in the past, and some historian wants to argue that that was actually an important turning point for where we are right now. And so that would count as a historical research. And historical research is also about building arguments, that I want to argue that something no one has ever paid attention to that happened in the past, and I think that is important, that shaped the world we are in now. Yeah. So and it is also to collect evidences and to try to weave all the evidences into an article, or you can say that is a sequence of statements that would then convince your reader about your argument. So writing is at the core of historical research. It's not just doing the research, but you need to find a way to convince people about what you find and what you think. And also everybody can think in a different way. There is no accuracy, or there is no definite answer. Everyone can has their own opinion. For example, what do you think that that would that Taiwan will go to, that whether Taiwan will be very soon reunited with mainland China, and what do you think would be the stepping point into that? And everybody can has a different idea, and we argue. That is, you can compare that with historical research. So in a way that historians, they are doing a detective's job. They are 侦探, that they have to see patterns from a mass of clues. And not all the clues are important, but they try to see through all the clues that they have, and see through all the evidences, and then compile them or connect them, and in order to reveal a bigger pattern that they think are important. Okay, now we can go back to our topic today, humanities research or historical research in the digital age. So now we have learned a little bit about historical research. What about digital age? What has changed? So I think you probably all have a very good idea that in historical research, what people are studying are things left over in the past. Like there might be some books, or people would call them manuscripts, meaning that they are written by calligraphy or something. And now there are many, and also there are objects. Like in the National Palace Museum, you can see many historical objects. Some of them are of significant importance. And now with digital age, or with digital technology, there are much more ways that we can use to preserve those objects and materials. So one simple one would be to make an image scan. If you have a book that is from 18th century, then you can scan it page by page, and then you have all the digital images for that book. Or if you have a object, then you can do a 3D modeling and make it 3D. And there are some software helping you to do that. But how about the contents in the books? You can, aside from making them a scan and then putting them online so that people can flip over, you can also digitize them into digital searchable full text. And that definitely give you some benefit because now you can do full text search and you don't need to glance through the whole book in order to find something is mentioned. You just need to do a search, just like how you use PDF these days, or how you search Google. You don't need to go through each website in order to find the information, but Google will find it for you because there is full text search. And even if you only have a record, the record here, I call them metadata. So that means data about data. So like 书目资料 the kind of record that is kept in the library about each of the books in the library. Those are called metadata. Even if you only have metadata, but and you don't have the scans or you don't have any like digital objects, even if you have some records about metadata about something that you're interested in, you can still already use a Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet to start to record them or to analyze them. So that's what digital age has brought to us. So that's on the material side. But on the method side, there have been so many methods that are developed in computer science in the past, not only decades, but like half century. So these methods are plentiful and they cover all kinds of domains. From image, you have all kinds of image recognition methods to help you like identify the objects in a photo, for example, whether it is a car, a cat, or a dog, a monkey, something. And they have all kinds of computation way to for example, help you calculate how similar two images are. And then in a very large pool, you can very quickly find the similar images together, and you can apply classification, 帮他们分类. You can even learn human ways of classification, that if I think this photo is about scenery, and that photo is about a building or a car, then very well that nowadays machine learning can help us to learn humans classification and then apply that to a broader material. That's about image, but about text, there also have been many textual analysis methods developed in computer science. NLP, of course, is one major strand of them. Natural language processing and text mining and information retrieval that we just talk about Google and Google's method of ranking the web pages, etc. And even just with data, there are many data analysis methods that have been developed in data mining, in data science and data visualization. Like, how do you visualize data in a meaningful way so that people can make decisions easier? And of course, they're like starting not really long ago. I think 1 year ago, we witnessed large language model and ChatGPT, and that brings back the whole domain of machine learning and AI. And right now we are still waiting to see what is going to impact our lives. So after talking about all those technologies and also the materials being digitized, what has been achieved in answering this question, that what is historical research different in the digital age? So I would like to bring your attention to a term called digital humanities. So this is the domain, or this is the discipline that I have been working in. So people use this phrase, digital humanities, to describe what can be done in historical research using computational methods. And if you go to Google, you find some different definitions. Like from dictionary.com, it says that it is an academic field concerning the application of computational tools and methods to traditional humanities disciplines. So if you have history as one of the traditional humanities discipline, then now you have digital history. And if you have literary study, 文学研究, then you now have digital literary studies. And the British Academy gives another example as the definition, that it is at the leading edge of applying computer-based technology in the humanities. So, okay, yes, we got the idea. And something is interesting if you click on this website, whatisdigitalhumanities.com. So after you click it, I'm not going to click it because I only share with you my slide window. But if you go to this website, then you probably read another definition. That might be long, that might be short. But if you reload it, then it gives you another definition. So you can try to reload it over and over again. And each time it gives you a different definition. So that tells us that digital humanities is diverse, and it is still evolving, it is still developing, and there is no one-liner definition. You cannot ask two people and they give you exactly the same definition. So that is a very promising new field, very interesting. So is it a field or it is a discourse? By here, discourse means a discussion, a very long-term discussion that some people think it is this way, but some people say, no, it is not this way, but it is my way. So that is a debate in the field. So that's called a discourse. Or is it a community of practices that a group of people, they want to do something, so they simply do something. It's like a hackathon or something, that people wants to do things in certain ways, and then they gather together and it becomes a community. Yeah, maybe. And is it a type of research method? I think so. But you can ask many people, and I think different people would have different opinion. But one thing that is for sure, using Word in class, or using PowerPoint in class, is not digital humanities, even though you're using a kind of computer technology. But it is not digital humanities, because one key feature that I think most people agree is that it has to be about pursuing new knowledge. Knowledge that we so far haven't identified. So far we don't know about that knowledge. But after using these tools, or after using these analytical tools, then you can find something, you can discover something to pursue new knowledge. So I think that is a very fundamental part in what defines digital humanities, to pursue new knowledge. You can apply different kinds of computational methods as long as you are pursuing new knowledge and you obtain new knowledge. Okay, I have a slide about a prehistory of digital humanities, but I'm not going to go through all of them. And you can see that all of them are before year 2000. That is too long already. But just to let you know that digital humanities, at some point, I think before 2010, it was called humanities computing. And you can already find a textbook about a companion to humanities computing. And these are actually what I learned from that book. But I think everyone would agree that digital humanities started in Father Busa's Index Thomisticus, and that is using IBM supercomputer at a time in the 1950s or 60s, 70s to create the first digital concordance. Let me show you. So this is Father Busa. He is a father, a religious Christian, Christian father, and the books behind him, these are the works by a saint called Saint Thomas Aquinas. So these are also religious texts. And Father Busa happened to be a good friend with a very important person in IBM at the time. So people who I might need you to imagine, because I myself also never seen those computers, but those are gigantic computers that can fill a couple of rooms, and they receive their input by punch cards, like what you're seeing here. And Father Busa wanted to do something. So when you flip through a English text or English book, at the very end, there is a index. And index is not just every word that appear in the book. No, it is done through some selection. Only keywords or only important words would appear at the very end of the book. And that is called a index. And Father Busa, I think he somehow, I'm not sure whether he put in all the words in the 12th volume of the books behind him into computer, but he used it to create a index for the book, and that was computed. So Father Busa has been recognized as the starting point of what we nowadays call digital humanities. And you can see that a full text index is a search engine. So it tells you that if you're interested in this word, then here are the pages it appear in the book. This is what a index do. And that is also called, I think in literature form, it is called a digital concordance. That means an index. If we fast forward to year 2010, that is when this article was published in Science, then this is what we got at the time. So at the time, Google Books just digitized, I think just finished like digitizing most of the work that they can acquire from libraries. And they claim that they have digitized about 4% of the books that were ever printed in history, in humans' history. 4% right now, you probably think it's not a lot, but it is, because it is considered anything that has ever printed in history, and human never has that chance to look at even just 4% of the books all together. How is it possible? So of course they did a lot of digitization, and when they digitize, it's mainly about image, like taking image scans. But then I think they also did some image recognition to OCR the text, like to make them into index, like they can recognize certain, like all the words. I think most of the words from the pages that they scanned. And then they created a service called, I think right now it's called Google Ngram Viewer. And what it does is that you can type in a sequence of words using comma to separate them. And then it will tell you how frequent your keyword appear in those 4% of books. And when those books were published. So you can see that when I type in digitization, I have this curve, and then it shows me that starting from 1950, there is this word appearing in publications. And digital humanities doesn't appear until 2008. That's quite accurate from my own memory. And also there are some other words, distant reading, digital scholarship, all those come a bit later. So and you don't have to put in those keywords, because those are what I am interested in. And people would put in keywords like maybe culture or social science or whatever, what is like popular as a cultural phenomenon. And then you can have a very quick way of examining how frequent that word was used in publications, in books. So this was, I think at the time, also a very impactful article. It appeared in Science, and I think it has like 40 different authors together, like including different teams. And it is a cultural study, but it is about how we can quantitatively analyze culture using millions of digitized books. So that was one very vivid example of how people think about digital humanities, that after we have so many digital or digitized material, and also with proper technology, we can now build something that no one have ever seen before. And we can even do research about them, that we can discover new phenomenon. You just need to know which keyword to put in. And there are another strand of tools that is about mapping, about geospatial analysis. So I'm just going to show, this is called Orbis. It is developed at Stanford. It is the network model of the Roman world. And it is quite fun to play with. So imagine that you live in the ancient Roman world, and you want to go from, say, Rome to Spain, and you want to know how you can get there and how much it will cost you to get there. And it lets you choose which season you want to travel. And of course, different season then comes with different criteria. if it's winter time, springtime, summertime, and autumn time. And then what's your priority and what kind of network you want to write down. You want to write down roads, you are okay with river, or you want to go to open sea if it's faster, for example. Then you can choose all these options, and then it will tell you how much it costs you. So this is the distance from Augusta Treverorum, and then it tells you this is how many days it will take you, and then how much capitals, or how much bag of grants that it will cost you to get from one point to another. So this is interesting, and it visualizes a research that at the time was done. I believe you can still play around with this one. But let me show you another example that take advantage of mapping or geospatial analysis. So this is a project at the time, also around year 2010, that was very promising, and that like give a huge wave to digital humanities. This is mapping the Republic of Letters. So there was a time in history that many Western thinkers, they know each other. For example, Fortai, and many other thinkers. They exchange their idea. They would, like Einstein, when he has the most important idea, he might write to his friend who doesn't live near, but who live in another country or another continent, and then he will write them and write many pages of letters, and then they send each other. They exchange their ideas via letters. So this project at the time was to collect all those letters and then digitize them. And because each letter has a date, and it also has a receiver's address and the sender's address. So there are a lot that can be analyzed. And here, this shows the network of those thinkers in that time. And later, this project was also done at Stanford. So later, they I think originally the user interface was done in Java, and Java probably, like, nowadays is no longer the mainstream technology. So years later, they also made a JavaScript new website, and this time they allow people to upload their own datasets, and then you can have this kind of network displayed, and it is called Palladio. Okay, so just want to give you some highlights about the major methods in digital humanities. Here I list a lot, but if you take close look, then there are a couple of them coming from library sciences, 图书馆系. So that includes metadata and their standards, and IIIF, that is a international image interoperability framework, so that any image can be exchanged. And there are also things developed from 文学研究, literary studies like TEI, that is to encode digital text in a consistent way so that they can be interchanged. And there are things developed from geospatial analysis, from industry, from historical studies, from social sciences, and also things that are developed in computer science or in software industry. So basically there are many methods, and it's now more harder and harder to encapsulate digital humanities within a written definition, just like what we saw earlier. And in the past 5 years, I must say that there are also more and more academic positions, including professorships, postdoctoral researchers. Usually, they are hired in a grant proposal, and they are also now PhD students positions in Germany as well. Like some of them just passed that combines machine learning with digital humanities. And if you want to read more, then this one is the one I mentioned, that this is a companion to digital humanities, and it gives you a very thorough history of the field. And also there are some open access and also non-open access journals. Like DHQ is Digital Humanities Quarterly. It is on a website. It is totally open access. But the most important two journals, one is called DSH, Digital Scholarship in the Humanities. Excuse me. And the other is the International Journal for the Humanities, Arts, and Computing. And there is also an annual conference. But DH in Taiwan, I would also like to introduce a little bit. There is also an annual conference. It's called DADH, so Digital Archives and Digital Humanities, and it takes place every December. It just passed two weeks ago. But if you're interested in, then please stay tuned for the next round. And there is also a association that you can become a member. And the major, I must say that digital humanities in Taiwan has a much longer history than elsewhere in East Asia. So Japan, I think, also started quite early, but China, for example, start a bit late. But they have also very fascinating scholars there. But the teams that work in Taiwan, I think mainly there are three teams. So one is from my former association in National Taiwan University, Center for Digital Humanities, and this is led by Professor Jay Xiang, who was my PhD supervisor. And 法国文理学院 Dharma Drum College, they are focusing on Buddhist studies, but they have gone through a lot. They started to use TEI to encode all the Buddhist canons, and they have made databases, they have made analytical tools, and they have made dictionaries for geospatial coordinates, for example, historical place names. And Academia Sinica recently developed a lot of tools, so please stay tuned to what they are doing. But in general, digital humanities in Taiwan is quite advanced. Okay, so I would like to give a very quick break. I think I spent 40 minutes for now. Is there any questions? Okay, so I still have a lot of material to go through, but if you have any question, you can raise your hand. If I don't see you, then Yunzhen, you might need to turn on your mic and talk to me. But the following times, I would like to show you some case studies in digital humanities with my own experience. So I mainly work on Chinese history, or nowadays we also call it digital sinology. And that these three examples cover basically my time at Taida as a PhD student and at Harvard on the China Biographical Database project, and also at my current affiliation in PI History of Science on local gazetteers. Okay, so I would like to give you a very, very basic, but I think powerful example. So there has been a book. It's called 清代台湾直观表, and it looks like this. So it basically lists all the 直官 or all the officials that took office in the Qing Dynasty Taiwan, and it would list by a official position. Like here it says 台湾府凤山县知县, and then there is a long table. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like more than 10 people, and the next page as well. So those people are the ones that ever take the position of Fengshan Xian Zhixian in Qing Dynasty Taiwan. And you can see that it has a name on the top, and then it has a 就任原文. So when do we know that it started the office? And then 卸任原文. When do we know that it stopped the office? And then you have like 10 or maybe 20 record underneath 凤山县知县. And I believe the Western ears are added afterwards, because right now this is what I copy and pasted from a website, which I'm going to show you. So how do we, if you have a printed book like this, how do you make the data useful? The easiest thing is that we can type them in. And then the question comes, when you type them in, do you use columns like what is used here? There are 3 columns, and here it actually has more information about the 籍贯 and which year that person got 进士 got a 进士 degree, or that got a 举人 degree, whatever degree. Yeah. How would you do it? And also, how would people use this data? I think the original way, that how it was designed, is for people to read along. So they have to start with an office. So I think there is a table of contents listing all the different offices, like 凤山县知县 and maybe 新竹县知县 or 新竹县教育 or 台湾府知府. And you have to know where you want to look, and you start with an office, and then you see, okay, this office starts in page 200. So I flip to page 200 and start reading. So reading is all we can do if it is a printed book. But there are actually a much better way to allow people very flexibly use that book or use the information in that book. For example, if you want to find someone's career trajectory in Taiwan, what can we do in a book form? What you will have to do is to flip through all the pages to find that person's name. But if we have that book digitized, all we have to do is to do a full text search to find the person's name. And maybe there are some character variation, that maybe the character can be written in this character or that character, then you have to consider that. But just that, you just need to type in the name, and then you can locate where that person appear in the entire book. And is it possible to get an overview of who is at which office at a given time in history? I hope you're thinking right now. But what I want to mention is that the data structure is very simple in this case, but it's very powerful. Okay, so let's go through that. If you want to find this person, Lin Guifen, then you have to flip through all the pages, and then you might find these four. But basically, you have to flip through the whole book once in order to find that. And that is based on the assumption that you didn't miss. Okay, and here is the 观指标查询系统. So this was done by a master student in Taida in our lab. I think it's already many years ago, maybe 15 or longer years ago. And so it does, after you give a name that you can put in here, and that person does have alias, that it has different names, Lin Guifang or Li Guifen. Then these are the records that it flew through the whole book for you and then show them up. And also, I believe it's also organized in a chronological way, like it is sorted by time, by the 认知原文. Yeah, so what does it take to make that book into this form? First of all, we need to digitize it. We need to type in everything. And when we type, we will use a Google spreadsheet or a Microsoft Excel sheet as the data structure. So it's basically rows and columns. Like each row represent a record in the book, and each column represent a different piece of information. Okay, then after that, you probably can very easily do that. And if you have all the data in a Excel sheet, you can already use either the filter or the search function that Excel tells you, that Excel gives you, in order to implement exactly the same feature that you're seeing here. What is missing is probably that not all the dates are clear. So like here, 认知原文 says 资料未记载, but it knows the 谢值原文, that is 1888. And this program somehow tries to do an ordering. It's not always accurate due to that the data is not complete, but it's good enough. Okay, then the next question, who's at which office at a given time? So this is the end result, that you can choose a year, and then after you click 查询, it will give you a tree structure showing how the administration offices in Taiwan in 光绪一年 look like, and their hierarchy. So it starts with 福建分巡台湾兵备道, and then underneath there is the Taiwan Fu. underneath, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counties, and then 2 Ting prefectures. And within each box, there is the head officer. Like in Taiwanfu is 知府, but then in 彰化县 is 知县. And then there are names. Like usually it should be one name, because usually there should be only one person taking the office at a given time. But also due to that the data is not complete, sometimes you know that they have arrived to the office, but you don't know when they left. So in some cases, it has multiple names listed in the box as the 彰化县知县, but it is merely give you as much information as possible so that you don't miss a thing. So what does it take to do this from here, or from the table we just saw? Okay, I'm not going to tell you the answer, but if you're interested, you can take a look at Zhang Juntao's master thesis, 观指标的模型实作 in 2007. And the system is now still online under 台大数点中心, or you can go to this link. But what I want to show you in this example is that this is what we first talk about, that what is historical research in the digital age, what has changed. And we know that we can now turn a print material into electronic ones, and not only doing the scans, but we can really like make the data to fit in a data structure that can later be used more efficiently and more effectively. And because it is a table-like thing, the structure is very, very simple, like anyone can do it. But you can see that the power after you turn the page into a data table, the power is unlimited. That you can now achieve so much more than the book. So this is one idea that I want to give you, that there is print material, and after the digitization, there are different ways of digitizing them, but also there is a creativity inside that is involved. And based on that, you can actually create new applications that no one maybe ever have thought about before. The second example that I want to spend some time is the project that I worked on when I was at Harvard for 2 years. It's called China Biographical Database, or CBDB. In Chinese, it's 中国历代人物传记资料库. It is a collaboration between Academia Sinica, Harvard University, and Peking University. And here we will see another level of using data structure. So this is a online database, and that collects biographical information, 传记, about 53万 historical people. And this number is always increasing because they are adding more and more data. When I was there in 2011 to 13, I think there was 30万 people. So now it's already nearly doubled. Yeah. And this database include people from roughly the 7th century through the 19th century. So they don't have Republican people. 他们没有那个民国时期的人 but it roughly started in the Tang Dynasty and then till the end of Qing Dynasty. And what does it do? It is to model life histories from anecdote to data. What does it mean? So China has a very good tradition of writing biographies. Whenever someone died, that his family is going to ask for some very famous people to write a biography for the deceased. And it is a common tradition. So any literati family, as long as they manage, if they can find someone, then there would be a biography for that person. Here is an example for 吕祖谦 and 吕祖谦字伯公，尚书右丞，好问之孙。So that means that his grandfather is 吕好问, although here it doesn't say 吕. And 吕好问 used to be 尚书右丞. So I believe that's the highest rank office title that 吕好问 ever had. 自其祖始居婺州. So their family has been living in 婺州. And 祖谦之学，本之家庭，有中文文献之传，常从林之奇既又有张氏诸席。So this described the teachers that he ever learns from, and also his friends. And here, literati, they make friends like poets make friends with poets. So their friends are also important. Yeah, and also later it tells you 应补入关, so how he got into any office, and later he had a 进士, and this is the subject that he passed the exam on. And then he goes to this and there to hold offices, so his career. So this kind of story that is written in biographies is called a anecdote. This. So here it says that from anecdote to data. So what does it mean? So here we can see different data points. Like here it gives you the name of the person and his 字. So that's a alternative name, another name. And then his kinship relationship, who his grandfather was, and their hometown, and his teachers, his friends, his offices, etc. So from this text, we can actually have several different types of information, and that I called data points. So one thing that CDBD does, or something that the initiate scholar Robert Hartwell, he passed away already, and he gave the whole database to Harvard as his legacy. So what he did and what the team has been doing is that they collect biographies not as in their original form, that is, not as digital text. They don't just collect digitized biographies as text, but rather they break information that is recorded in the biographies into data points on the following. So they have names, they have different kinds of times, they have different kinds of places, that it might be the 户籍, the hometown, or it might be where someone took a office, like in Taiwan Fu, or here and there. And there are events, there are offices, there are modes of entry, 入仕途径. That means whether you got a degree that give you an office, or whether you 应补. Here, 应补 means that you get the blessing of your family, so that you receive a office. And the writings, people write each other, people write letters to each other, or they write prefaces for each other. And those all demonstrate some kind of relation, strong relations actually, in order for you to write a preface for another person. So they have kinship, they have social relationship, and they might have possessions, they might have education. So information in a biography can be broken into these different data points. And CBDB chose to record the biographical information in this way rather than in a digital full text way. And what's the difference? So if you have the biographical text, like each of them as a PDF or as a sequence of text, then what you can do is to build a full text database. And what you can then do is a full text search. So you type in someone's name, and then you find all the appearance that maybe this person in this time it is the subject of the biography. 他是那个传主. But in other cases, he might appear in another person's biography because he's the person's teacher or he's the person's friend, etc., etc. So if you have digital text, then you can very easily just do full text search, but probably not much more. However, if you store them as data, and here we are talking about relational database, I will show you, I will show you here that you store different types of information in separate tables. So for example, if you have the kinship relationship in one table and the writing relationship or social relationship in another table, and you have maybe all the offices that this person held in the third table, you put them in different order. Like in one table, you always find very, very consistent information. And it's not just about that person. In fact, you would put everyone's kinship relationship in one table and their social relationship in another table. And then everyone's offices in another table. And that would enable advanced queries. So let's look at the table schema. So these are like each box is a table. And right now it is telling you what columns are in each table. So Biocman is the 基本资料, where it records a person ID. And then that person's name, the gender, the birth year, death year, which diagnosis, and then the posting table that record the offices of that person. And data tables are linked to each other via person IDs. So 吕祖谦 might have a ID 100, and then you come to another table, then there is all the records that is for the person 100, then you know that this is all about Lü Zhuqian's posting data. And same with social association or kinship relationship. So you're using different tables as structure to put information, to break down that information into, but then you use a ID to connect them so that you can still retrieve them from different tables. And what does it do? Why is it better? So here is an example. So we have the person ID, and this is the 基本资料表. So you have the personal names, you have their IDs, and then from there you can come to different table to get the corresponding records. So what does it do? So relational database, I don't know whether you have studied that in your class, but it is about the data modeling is called entity relations, that you think they are different entities of things, and then they are their relationship in between. So once you have information separated, stored in separate tables, now you can approach the biographical data from different aspects. Not only that, also on a larger scale. So for example, if you want to find information about Sima Guang, then you have the different tables that is on the different surface of this cube. Then the kind of question that you can ask is that you can then use a filter to identify a group of people rather than a single person. So for example, you can say, I want to study all the Jingshi degree holders in the Tang Dynasty, in the Song Dynasty, in the Ming Dynasty, in the Qing Dynasty, and maybe you want to find those Jingshi who are descendants of important officials. And then you can use the table structure to do a very complicated query and to identify that group of people. After you identify a group of people that you're interested in, then you can observe their patterns. For example, their age of death, like how long do they live, their marriage, and do they marriage to another official, for example, that we think they probably would do, like based on all the TV drama show that we are watching. And how did they become officials, and how many of them got the offices from their family relations, or did they really work really hard and they got 进士? Even for people who are from literati family, and you can also about their social network. But all in all, you are no longer looking at one person, but you are looking at a group of people who share some kind of common features that make you want to analyze them. Okay, some examples, not from me, but from the project. So this is about 知物州人. So that means someone who ever take the office of 梧州府的知府. No, 梧州的知州 it is a 州. And where they are from. So I think 梧州 is around here, is in Zhejiang. And you can see that those people who ever serve an office in 梧州, they are from elsewhere. But still that most of them are from the southeast coast, and some of them are from the north, and some of them from Sichuan. You can also use this method to look at all the Nansong Jingshi in CBDB. And you can see that these dots, I believe, are their jiguan. So you can see that, oh, wow, Nansong is so we all know that historical China, the governing class, aside from the king or aside from the royal family, they enter the offices or they enter the official dome, they enter 这个领导阶层 by getting 进士 degree. So only 进士 degree holders can be assigned to a important office, either in the central government or in local government. So here you see that the Southeast Coast contributed most, but not just most. I think it looks like, I would just do a guess, 95% of 进士 in Southern Song Dynasty come from 东南沿海. And that is very phenomenal, because you might not think that was the case, but it is the case. And after you understand that this is the case, then you might have a totally different understanding about Southern Song, and also about how Southern Song was run. And we know that Southern Song come from the north, and then I think they ended up in Nanjing or Lingan. But still, like Fujian is very close to Taiwan, and I didn't know that Fujian produced so much jingshi for Southern Song, and whether that affects any kind of governing policy, or whether that reflect any kind of the atmosphere in the political situation. That is a result of Fujian Jingshi. That I don't know, but that would help us open another question. And here it lists the associates of Lü Zuqian and in pink, and the associates of Zhu Xi. Here, associates means that people who has social relationship with that person. So his like including his teachers, his colleagues, his friends. And then we see a very prominent regional distribution that Lü Zuqian's 交友, Lü Zuqian's social network are mainly from here, and Zhu Xi is more in the Jiangxi region. But here in Fujian, you also see a strong strand of Zhu Xi. I myself don't study Song history, so I don't really know what it tells me, but it tells Peter Bo, who was the leading figure in CBDB, and who is a well-known professor at Harvard. So he's a Song historian. These figures are from him. So aside from geospatial analysis, we can also do social network analysis. So I think this is 2,700 letters from and to lead Neo-Confucianisms of Zhu Xi's generation. 所以这个好像是叫做新儒家. So that was a 学派. So that was a important cultural phenomenon and also political phenomenon in the Song. So this network involve all these letters from and to leading Neo-Confucians. And then you can, once you load them in, you can ask the social network software to reduce the lines so that you can see clearly what it tells. So this one is showing only those who corresponded with at least 2 people in the data set. And now you reduce it a lot. And then you can further change the size of the nodes based on, for example, incoming degree or outgoing degree. So that means that many people write to Zhuxi in the center, then Zhuxi's node can become bigger to reflect the fact that many people wrote to him. And you can also color the line, not by yourself, but by the software. So you can tell the software some kind of criteria that you want to observe. And like I think this case is to color and size the edge by the number of letters between two people. And then you see that the yellow ones are highlighting many people, many letters exchanged between Lu Zuqian and Zhu Xi. So I think from this diagram, we just learned that their network seem not to overlap a lot, but here it tells you that I think both of them are leading scholars. So this tells you that the 2 of them actually exchange a lot between themselves, but maybe not their associates. Yeah. So these are just some examples. And what kind of other questions can be asked? So for example, the last one tell us the spread of Neo-Confucianism. That was a 学派. And you can do basically all these that I think we discussed them already. Finding the age of death for elites, because we have the birth year and death year, so we can calculate how long did people live, especially when they are elites, when they are the 精英 of the society, and where the local officials came from, the distribution of 进士, their networks and connections, the letter exchange, etc., etc. And at the end, I also, at the end of this part about CBDB, I also want to show you that when I was there for 2 years. What I did is mainly to develop some automatic data collection procedures, so that CBDB doesn't need to only rely on people typing in the information, which used to be the case, and that is the work at Beijing 大学, what they did. They always have a compilers team of 20 to 30 PhD students, and they would go through different historical sources. And when they find a new piece of information, they type into the database using the structure that we earlier saw. So one observation is that when we look at the biographies, we can discover that they were written in many cases in very regular patterns. And that gives us an idea about using regular expressions to automatically or semi-automatically extract the information. So for example, here we see da 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 3 character and then 字 something. Sometimes there is 字 and there is how. And then you know that the first 3 character is the subject's name, and the thing after 字 and maybe before a punctuation is the 字. And also there might be a how and then you can know where the how is. And then someone's 之孙. So here it tells you that this is a grandson, etc., etc. And 长从, 从 means learn from. So what follows must be the teacher's names. And then 又有, 有 is friend. So what follows must be the names of his friends. So we can see that these are all very regular ways of writing biographies. And we can actually take advantage of that and then write something called regular expressions. Can I know how many of you know regular expressions? If you know, then you can raise your hand. Yeah, I'm not sure whether this is taught in the department's course. In any case, okay, let's get back here. So during the 2 years there were like several different programs developed. Like this one is to use the highlighting function, like just like how you highlight a text from a website, and then you can highlight it, and then you can select a 亲属关系 or select a data points, select a column to host that data. And what I did, and that feature become what I brought to Germany, is this. So in Chinese local gazetteers, 地方志, there is always a 职官志. So that is about office holding. So they would say that 惠民县自秦汉以来，宋元都是均为燕次，县所设官职民籍无考。And then since starting in Ming Dynasty, we have Zhou. So then it starts to list all the 知州. So here are the names, and then before the names there is the period. This is the 洪武 reign period, 永乐 reign period, and then 洪熙 reign period. But basically it gives you the names of all the 知州, and it also tells you their 籍贯 and their 出身. So this is also very regular. So we developed another tagging interface. So by tagging, I mean text tagging, just like what we saw. So this is the text when we get it, and the circles denote the space. We want to see the space, so we replace them as circles. But you see that it's basically a list of names. And through tagging, what we want to achieve at the end is that we would tag the personal names in blue, and the dynasty where they serve in this color, and the position's name in this color, the reign period in this color, and then the 出身 in that color, the 籍贯 in that color. This is the goal. And after you're able to do that, you can then export it as a table. So here are the details that basically this interface allows you to compile regular expression in a simpler ways. And then and then everything that is tagged in a color becomes a column in the final table. So this shows a regular expression, 籍贯, and then the character 人. Okay, so, and then another regular expression, 年号, 年份, 年, and then the character 任. So 洪武3年任. then you can capture all those. And then eventually you get a table. Okay, so a recap of CBDB, that it is a database for biographies, historical biographies, but it doesn't just store the digital text of biographies, but it break the different type of information into different data points and store in different tables. And it's called relational database. And after doing that, you can study something that is called prosopography, that is 群体传记学, meaning you don't just study one person, but you study a group in history. And you try to find their patterns. You might use geospatial analysis to understand their patterns, or social network analysis, or other kinds of analysis to understand that group of your interest. Then here comes the very end. That is my current project. So I hope, so we have talked about two projects. One is the 直观表, and the other is the CBDB. And I hope that give you an idea about how computational methods can be used for historical sources, and what does that change. That by bringing in computational method, even just data encoding, data modeling, what comes with it is a entirely different spectrum of what you can do to the data. So I'm going to show you what I have been working on in the past 10 years in Germany, in Maspang. That is about studying Chinese local gazetteers, or in 中文是地方志. So this is a main genre for recording local knowledge in historical China, established or at least stabilized since the Southern Song dynasty. And they are in a book form, and mostly are compiled by a local government. And what kind of locality? So basically counties, prefectures, provinces, and sometimes you have the state, the whole empire, like 大明一统制 or 大清一统制. But it is putting a focus on the regions, and basically to record what each region has. So what kind of knowledge or what kind of information they would document? Most of them are about, for governing purposes, they would record the topography, the 地理, and what kind of institutions and what are the people there, what kind of taxes it pays there. Here is a sequence of examples from 丹徒县志. So it has a 目录. And at the beginning, it also has some kind of diagrams or maps. This one is a 星野图. So it records the stars. And 方屿总图, the 县志图. So it outlines the city. And this outlines further. This is the 府学图. It draws the school, the local official school, the 府学. And then it also has a 县学 and 县署, the office, the bureau. So here we see that the kind of information they have: geography, infrastructure, food and commodities, politics, the local officials, people, literature, etc. And these section headings is also interesting because after you flip through several local gazetteers, you would realize that you always see these kind of headings. So it means that it records a lot of things, and also different 地方志, they record very similar categories of information. It's rather consistent. So there are a few unique features for local gazetteers. One is many. So any place you can name in Chinese history, you probably can find a local gazetteer, and that records it at a specific point of time in history. And also, maybe not just one, you probably can find several that were published in different times, in different dynasties about that place. So that gives us a very rich data set, because the information you want to find probably can already be found there. And also, so there is a wide geographic coverage. There is also a long period coverage. And a big portion of local gazetteers that were ever compiled still exist today. And they are now in commercial databases. So it's about one fourth of historical gazetteer nowadays still exist, and it's highly possible that it's in one of the commercial databases. And local gazetteers are full of data because what we just saw, the categories, that you can find nearly every gazetteer, they record the same type of information. So if you want to find, for example, information about a local school, and not just any local school, all the local schools, then you just need to go to all the local gazetteers and pull out the school section, and you have the data. And quantity matters. So we just talk about that 1/4 of historical gazetteers still exist today. And so statistically, it is very significant, because what you can do is that you can look at those existing gazetteers and project what was ever recorded in the whole genre, even though 4/3 are already missing, they are already gone, but you can use the existing ones to project. And the reason why we can project is because of this statistical significance, because there are so many of them still exist. And so I'm going to give you an example. So that means if you run a full text search, it will, to all the existing gazetteers, it will give you a relatively accurate approximation of that term's overall distribution in all the historical gazetteers that were ever existed. So let me give you an example. It's not from me, but it's from a geographer called Chen Zhenxiang. And he was commissioned to compile a data set, or at least create a map about the locust disasters distribution in historical China. But he didn't have that. So what he did is that he flipped through 3,000 local gazetteers that were stored in libraries, museums in Taiwan, Japan, Hong Kong, or elsewhere. And then whenever he found a locust temple, Huangshen Miao, he would record them, and eventually he produced this map. So what he did is that he used all the existing, or the ones that he could find, as a data source, and he simply went through them and then collect historical data from the local gazetteers. So that gave us a inspiration. So we think his method is very applicable also to other questions. So we decided to build a full text database. In this case, it's full text because it's very difficult to divide them into different data points, at least as the first step. But then we associate each gazetteer with a coordinate so that you can now type in any keywords that you are interested in. It doesn't have to be Huangshen Miao. It can be another temple or another building's name if you know about a building, or you can type 玉米 or 辣椒 or whatever you can think of, and then the interface will put the search results on a map so that you can immediately see the the geographical distribution. And after we were able to do this, we also found a way that in the tool that we're using for making the map, you can actually do a filter. So Chen Zhenxiang actually recorded 4 types of Huangshen Miao's name. They are not always called Huangshen Miao. Actually, they are called most of the time Ba Zha Miao or Liu Meng Jiangjun Miao. So we distinguish them, and then we immediately see that Ba Zha Miao, the yellow ones, appear dominantly in the Huanghe Liuyu, and Liu Meng Jiangjun Miao dominantly in the southern China, which he didn't explain or he didn't mention that there is such phenomenon. But because right now we are working on a data set, and also we have data visualization tools to help us distinguish different search terms, then we are able to immediately see that. So the core methodology behind Logar is the tool's name, is that we treat the whole genre 地方志 as a conceptual database for historical inquiry. And that helps us to ask questions in a broader sense and toward thousands of local gazetteers. And we want the thousands of local gazetteers answer our question together. We don't want to read them one by one, but we want them to jointly give us an answer. So that's the idea. So in another way, you can also see Logar as from Chen Zhenxiang's method, and then we build that method into a digital tool so that people can come in and ask different questions. They can make their own observations. They can use a map or use different tools to analyze their results. And you can collect historical data from thousands of local gazetteers with Logar. After you get the data set, we equip you with immediately useful visual statistical analytical tools so that you can immediately see the highlights or see the distribution from the data that you just collected, either via search or via tagging. So this is the visualization now you can see from our built-in tool, also about Ba Zha Miao and Liu Meng Jiangjun Miao. And you can also create a timeline to see the temporal distribution. And here you see very vividly that Liu Meng Jiangjun Miao came later. So it seems that Ba Zha Miao has been a tradition, and it is to, excuse me, it is devoted to 8 farming gods, and one of them is locust. And Liu Meng Jiangjun Miao came later. And we later also, after we see this phenomenon, we also understand that, oh, Liumeng Jiangjun Miao was actually a Guan Miao. So that was a temple that is issued by the emperor to put down to put down the locust disaster at that time during Qing. Excuse me for a moment. I think I need to cough. Okay, I'm back. And I noticed that we only have another 15 minutes. So I will just go quickly so that we might have some chance to ask questions. And this is the, so remember that I said that the categories or the table of contents, they are quite consistent throughout the local gazetteers. And here I'm listing the top 20 section headings from 4,000 gazetteers. And you can see that 序、目录、人物、译文、风俗、学校, all these occupy like more than half, that they appear in half of the gazetteers. But also there are some temporal phenomena, like 译文. 译文 in the Ming Dynasty only has 30% of occupancy, but then in the Qing, they are 75% of Qing gazetteer that contain a 译文 section. And it might be a renaming phenomenon that maybe earlier in Ming, it doesn't call this way. And only in Qing that they regulate the naming to become 译文. But it might also reflect that, for example, some of the section headings 学校 in the Republican time, 民国 period, because there are so many new things coming into China from Western sciences, so they might just abandon some of the historical and traditional categories and replace them as with new concepts. Like I said, if you want to locate data on the same topic across the gazetteers, because we have the table of contents, then you can do a section search and you can pull them all together. This I will skip. Yeah. And the last bit, I probably should talk about this, that in the local gazetteers, they give data usually in the form of lists. Like here, under 物产制, they have different categories. They have 谷, they have 书, they have 果. But then under 谷, they would just list all the different kinds of grains that this place has. 早稻, 子口, 朝期, 等等. So that means these are very regular data points. And then, so what we did is also to use test tagging as a way to convert them into a data table, as a way to collect data. So again, we are using regular expressions, and we allow people to compile regular expression in a easy to understand way or intuitive way. And here I'm collecting all the 水利工程. These are bay, and they have different names, and they have 在哪里, and their length, their width, and this is under 平江县. And eventually you get a table. Then what can you do after you get such data? Again, you can use geospatial analysis, or like in this case, it also combined with temporal analysis. Like Che Chun from Shanghai 交大历史系的老师 she is using this to analyze the 水位的消长 in over 300 years of historical times. And because she can look at the type of 水利工程, and some type are for flood prevention, and some type are for drought prevention. So she can use that to understand how water goes to the southern part of the lake and then to the northern part of the lake, and like iteratively through a very long course of time. Another scholar called Joe Dennis, he is at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He came to our institute and then used LOGAR to collect 学校藏书的书单. So under the 学校志, they tell you what are the books in their library. So he collected 30,000 records. And then he now built another database called Books in China. You can type in a book, or you can see what are the books in the school library and whether they are really only for 科举考试. And what he found is that no, they actually have all kinds of books. It's not only for the examinations. And then again, temporal and geospatial analysis has proven to be very useful. Okay, so I'm going to skip this because those are what our researchers have used LOGAR to do their research on. So I think that's probably too far away from the audience. But just to recap, our method support a wide range of research topics, and I think we can very proudly call it a digital research infrastructure for studying local gazetteers. The main idea is to treat the whole genre as a database and start to ask questions. And we use data visualization to demonstrate patterns, to understand the overall patterns from the large data set. But also for today's conclusion, there are many possibilities in digital humanities, or if we only even just talk about digital history, depending on the material and the method, and also your creativity, that what you can think of that would be useful. So digital humanities, I think it can be also, like part of it is data science. That is nowadays also very popular and very easy to get job. And in the future, we are right now trying to incorporate machine learning on image recognition. So for example, we haven't been talking about ChatGPT, and is that going to replace us, or how do we take advantage of that? And then in our research, we can maybe like do something different. Okay, I think I will stop here. Sorry that I only leave very little time.
Thank you, Shi Pei. Do you any question, everybody? If you want to ask, you can use English or Chinese. 用中文或英文发问都可以。有没有想要问一下适配的？目前我们还有7分钟。OK。
如果没有的话，叔叔吗？Yeah, I still have some slides. Maybe I can just go through it because it's also quite interesting.
Okay, if you have a more slide, you share now.
Yep. Okay, so we have been trying to use machine learning to some degree. That one thing that we did is to do a image classification based on local gazetteers illustrations. And this part, I work with 蔡宗翰老师，就是中央大学资工系，然后他现在也在中研院。 and it's mainly I think at that time it was a undergrad student, Chen Zhean. He did most of the work. And what he did is that we had already some classification for our for the kind of illustrations or images in local gazetteers. So they have different kinds of maps, scenic maps, 山川图、城市图、行政图、星野图, and they have photographs, human figure, building, etc. So these are some examples. And what he did is mainly that he made a data preprocessing procedure to uniformize all the images, and then he feed them into 9 or 11 existing machine learning models that are for image classification. And he simply wants to see which one works better. And eventually, I think he found 2 of them are better. But then what he eventually built is a classifier. So he built, released the model so that people can upload their image, and then it will predict the category of the image. And another thing that we start to try is that I'm right now working in another genre that has text and images together. So what you are seeing here is a labeling that the machine works already on a existing model, so it would already guess where the illustrations are. But then we humans go in and then give it corrections, and after that we train another model, and now it can detect like most of the most of the images in the pages. And based on that, what we want to do is to also cluster the images based on similarity. That what you're seeing here are 1,400 illustrations in local gazetteers that are dedicated for star maps. But we also see that there are different types of star maps. Like the upper right corner, these clusters are actually, if you zoom in, then you see these are the half circles. And these are the system maps that they tell you the whole system above us, the whole sky system, that they are 28, 28, etc. And then another cluster, when we look into, you see that there is always this Milky Way. So this is the Yinghe. They depict the Yinghe. And then by a very random machine or random algorithm, it can already cluster them together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hope that was interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting. I like it. Your analysis of the similarity in the past of different historical figures was particularly competitive. The approach not only depend on our understanding of history, but also provide us with a new perspective to view the complex interaction and the influence among individuals. So I think if in the future we have a chance to discuss how to make more relationship with the current historical and the Qing dynasty, Ming dynasty, and we can compare with the different dynasties, people's relationship, and how to influence maybe from geography or imagery or others. So it's very interesting.
That's great. Yeah, I look forward to talking to you more about these topics. Yeah,
Thank
we have
you.
a lot that we are not able to do.
Thank you your time, and thank you everyone here. Bye.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening up for 2 hours. It's great.
Bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.